proxy. Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And for some more perspective on the Iran going back on their word and not keeping the Strait of Hormuz open, they hit some of the reports, looks like they hit two ships, fired on two ships near the Gulf of Oman area. But the question is, how much damage is done? You can't believe Iran. The talks have been postponed, perhaps resuming Monday, but they're talking about a new framework for the talks. I don't know. It's all very complicated. It's not as clear-cut as some people hoped yesterday. To shed some light on this, Ambassador Robert O'Brien is here, former national security advisor, very dear friend. He's the chairman of American Global Strategies. I mean, Robert, you just can't believe the Iranians, okay? You just can't believe the Iranians. Now, we had a lot of momentum the last couple days, and you saw President Trump, and he's talking about it. And the president today said, you're not going to blackmail us. Nothing's going to change, although things have slowed down. How do you see this story?
Look, I'm not surprised, Larry. There are two issues here. The first, the Iranians are liars. They've always lied in negotiations. They stonewall. They do what in real estate law we call it, extend and pretend. They try and run out the clock. That's not going to work here, and I think they've realized that with epic fury and economic fury, which is going to start soon. But number two, there's a lot of uncertainty in the regime. We took out the entire regime at the outset of this campaign. And so they're trying to get their look. Iran has politics, just like every other country has politics. There's a clerical system, but there's politics going on. So the foreign ministry comes out and cuts the deal, and then the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guards, say they don't like the deal, and they send out some speedboats to attack shipping. So we're going to have to see what happens within the regime. The key thing to realize here, though, is we have all the cards. Total blockade. They can't get any money. They can't get any products. They can't sell their oil. So, like President Trump has said, it may take a little bit of time. It may take a week. It may take 2 weeks. It may take 3 weeks. But at the end of the day, we're going to get what we want.
I love that President was insistent yesterday that the blockade would remain in place. We are in control. And I want to see this because I want to starve the regime as much as possible. And this will succeed. And they're going to have to wind up shuttering their oil fields very, very soon because they don't have storage capacity there. And General Keane was on earlier saying the same thing you mentioned. Who's in charge here? You got your general, you got your Islamic guard, but then you've got civilians from the parliament. I mean, I don't know who's running that place.
Well, no one knows, and I don't think they know in Iran who's running the place. So you've got, they're all clerics. The guard, the parliamentarians, the foreign ministry, they're all mullahs. And they've got their own, internal fights going on about who's in charge. But I think the other thing is that in addition to the blockade, the president last week, and it did not get a lot of play, turned Scott Bessent loose on him. And man, I would not want to have Scott Bessent on my case. That guy's a tough guy. He's a smart guy, and he launched Operation Economic Fury, playing off the military campaign of being epic fury. And with Economic Fury, he said he's going to track down every ghost bank account, every IRGC regime, Ayatollah bank account in the world, and shut them down. So the Iranians are under a heck of a lot of pressure right now.
Make sure all these bank accounts are frozen. UAE, Qatar, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yes, I mean he's talking about draining them, not just freezing them. So we'll have to see what happens. But I mean, don't get on Scott Bessent's bad side.
Right. But that's an important point because they have a lot of arrangements, in the Gulf states, which are big banking areas, Abu Dhabi, so forth. So that's a very important point. But the generic point is the blockade is going to, starve them out economically and financially. I'm in no rush. You know what I mean? I don't want to make it a quick deal. I want to keep it going for a month, 2 months. This is the ultimate solution, is it not?
The old saying is the Iranians have never won a battle, but they've never lost a negotiation.
Oh.
And this kind of, they're going to lose a negotiation because President Trump is very transparent. We've talked about this many times, Larry. And you've seen this, and we need to go back to what he said at the beginning of the crisis when he sent Witkoff and Kushner to Geneva. He said, number one, he had three things he demanded of the Iranians. Give up your nukes, give up your missile program, and stop supplying your proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis and others. Well, he's staying tough on the nukes. He said you got to turn over all the uranium powder, the enriched uranium. And apparently the Iranians agreed to that, but now they're backing down. He destroyed the missile factories, so that goal is accomplished. And if you look at the proxies, Hamas is totally cut off down in Gaza, and Hezbollah is a troublemaker. But Lebanon sat down for peace talks last week with Marco Rubio and Israel. Unprecedented peace talks between Lebanon and Israel. So that really sidelines Hezbollah. So President Trump is going to achieve his three main goals here. Whether the mullahs and ayatollahs like it or not.
When is that? When you talk about the peace talks between Lebanon and Israel, does that include Hezbollah?
It does not.
Right.
And
right.
Hezbollah is not happy about that. If the Lebanese government and the Israelis get together, the two of them can disarm Hezbollah.
So what role does Iran play in this? This is important because, remember, Iran said yesterday that they would open the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to open the Strait of Hormuz while there's a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, negotiate. But they didn't mention Hezbollah, and I didn't understand. It seemed like it was like nitpicking. It seemed like it was, they were attaching a conditionality to it.
Well, look, Hezbollah is their key ally.
Mm-hmm.
The Shias in Lebanon, and it's their key method of putting pressure on Israel and striking Israel. Hezbollah has basically captured the Lebanese state up until very recently. And so when Iran talks about Lebanon, they're talking about Hezbollah.
Right.
But what's happened is with the Iranians' brilliant campaign, with the Israelis' brilliant campaign against Hezbollah and the Iranians in Lebanon, Hezbollah has a lot less power. And so the Lebanese government is moving to reassert its control. It's not certain, and it's very fragile right now, but Lebanon is trying to free itself from this Iranian yoke and from the terrorist regime of Hezbollah. And if they can do that, then that's going to be a huge win for the people of Lebanon and a huge win for the people of Israel. So
that just means if we shut them down financially and shut the banking down, I love the banking shutdown, the Scott Bessent piece, they can't help Hezbollah. Hezbollah is left dangling. Israel can take care of that whole story. Maybe once and for all, Robert.
100%. I mean, Hezbollah without money is
right.
Worthless.
Right. I like that. I like that very much. I hadn't really thought about that. I bet you, Scott, it's interesting, the IMF meetings in New York, in Washington, I wonder, Scott may have gone to work on some of these banking relationships, Scott Bessent. I got to track him down and find out what he can and cannot do. But chances are we have a lot of leverage over all these countries right now and their banking system. We could keep him out of our bank. We can keep him out of the SWIFT system. Remember, you and I talked about this months and months and months ago. We have plenty of leverage over them.
Well, and we have leverage over the allies of China and Russia and the Gulf states with secondary sanctions as well. So, we can basically tell people to back off Iran and cut them off. Well,
Iran was kind of uppity this morning, but I don't think the momentum is going to stop. We've got the upper hand. The boss is going in the right direction. He's got them on the run, no question about it.
They're on the ropes, and President Trump is not going to let them off the ropes, and they're going to comply. It's just a question of if it's this week, next week, or next month.
Well, let's take our time. Let's just drain them. Drain them. That's what I like to do. Anyway, folks, Ambassador Robert O'Brien, former National Security Advisor. He's now the chairman of American Global Strategies. I am his student, Kudlow. We'll take a break. And on the other side, we're going to talk to Greg Jarrett about impeachments. I'm Kudlow. Please stick around.
Hey, marketers, listen up. Before this, there was this. Our voice. It's how we shared knowledge, build communities. Well, guess what? Voice is back. That's why Spotify Advertising has published a new report, The Sound On Era, because audio moves culture forward. And if your brand wants to be heard, you need a Sound On strategy. Go to ads.spotify.com to download The Sound On Era and turn up the volume on your business.